This weekend, the first movie of Phase 5 of the MCU has dropped in theaters, Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. That raises the question, is the MCU heading in the right direction? What am I excited about now that the movie has come out? What am I still worried about? Today, I'm gonna talk about all of it because I've got all kinds of emotions about the future of the MCU. So we're gonna talk about it live at Fan Expo Portland. Hi, my name is Shawn, and I love to talk about movies and TV way too much. With that in mind, go ahead and join me down below in the comments section. Let me know, how are you feeling about the future of the MCU now that we've seen Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, now that we have an idea of what their upcoming projects are and a few announcements they've made over this past week? Let me know what you're feeling about all that. Once again, this is being recorded live at Portland, so it's gonna feel a little bit different, and hopefully that is a good thing. With that said, let's go ahead and just dive into this with 4 reasons that I'm very excited for the future of the MCU. And some of this is the projects they've announced, and some of it is just once you kind of see Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, I'm not gonna avoid spoilers and all this, but once you see it, you get a flavor for teases where things are headed. So first one on here, it looks like we're heading towards the biggest size and scope and threat that we've had yet. Thanos was threatening half the universe, but only half the universe. However, Kang, his whole deal is that he likes to wipe out entire universes, lots of them. Inherently, that's a bigger threat. And inherently, it opens doors for all kinds of storytelling potential about where all of this could be going with bringing in, we've seen Spider-Man No Way Home already, blew our minds how cool that was. There's only more possibilities of what this could look like as Kang starts trying to attack different universes. And you just stop and think, wait, what if Kang goes after one of my movies that I love? What if he goes after, you think of all these franchises you might have grown up with, different universes, that could be the one that he destroys that they have to go in and try and save. He's literally going after your childhood in some of these cases. That's pretty cool to think about. That's pretty interesting to think about. And they've started to really tease that that's what this could be. Not just cameos, not just like, it's awesome to see Toby and Andrew again. We've got a guy that wants to destroy all of your favorite versions of these characters. Next one, this is one that was a big one for me. We're starting to get focus. I had pretty big issues with Phase 4 because it just felt a little all over the place. Some people felt thematically it was tied together because it was about tragedy, moving on past Endgame and everything that took place. Fair enough. I think for a lot of us, when you have a franchise that for so long was known for being focused on story and having this connected universe that tied together, felt like that was missing, where we just didn't have that goal that we were moving towards. It didn't feel like we had that team up at the end. It was just kind of a lot of scattered stories. And this one, with this new movie and the projects that are coming up, it feels like you're starting to see the pieces come together a little bit. Even with, later this year, I don't know much about the Marvels coming out, but what is that? It's someone from the previous phase teaming up with 2 people from very different projects in Phase 4, pulling together. And so it stops feeling like it's all over here, starts feeling it's pulling together. That's something that I've needed, and you're starting to see that with the projects they've announced, and especially when you properly introduce Kang and get an idea of what he's up to, you feel all of that. Next one on here, you've got some classic characters and storylines coming in the near future. In particular, Disney acquired the Fantastic Four 4 years ago. And it's actually coming. They had switched out writers and directors. We don't have our casting yet, but we have a date. It's coming. It is happening. And so finally, we've gotten several Fantastic Four movies before. For whatever reason, wow, those didn't work. But Kevin Feige, hopefully he's going to work his magic, and we're going to get a proper one in this universe. We're so excited about it. So you're getting them. Mutants, we've already started hearing the word mutant show up. We know projects are in the works, so we're getting a bunch of these big projects. Deadpool with Wolverine, in some sense, is kind of coming. So you have these big things happening. And then, of course, we have our next couple of Avengers movies lined up. Secret Wars is one of the most iconic, classic storylines from the 80s. It's where the symbiote came from, leading to some of the most iconic Spider-Man stories. Like, there's a bunch of gigantic stuff in the works on the way. Fourth one, it wasn't actually originally in my notes when I made my outline for this talk, but this has come up over the last couple of days. Kevin Feige has said we're slowing down. And I've said over the last 6 months, I feel like they're going for quantity over quality. They're going too fast. You lose some of the magic when you have so much. There's all the reports of them overworking visual artists. Just a lot of things where you kind of go, I think you got too aggressive. You learn and you adjust. And so it's like they've said they're pushing 3 of their shows that were planned for this year to next year. They're being pushed back to Marvel's several months. I hear that and I go, I think that's good. I said you're doing quantity over quality, and you heard that because I absolutely believe that Kevin Feige heard me say that. He watched my videos and that's why he made the change, obviously. But like a lot of people have kind of mentioned like this feels like it's too much. A lot of people said, I can't keep up with all of it. I've had that conversation with so many people where they're like, hey man, with Ant-Man coming out, do I need to watch this show first? I just haven't been able to keep up with everything. Which ones do I need to watch? Because it's so much. And that FOMO that we all kind of had during phase 3, like you didn't want to miss anything Marvel. And then now it's kind of like, I just can't keep up with all of it. Maybe I will miss some of it. So that idea of slowing down, I think that's really good. All that said, I did leave Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. Once again, I'm not going to go into any spoilers. I did leave the movie feeling like they've still got some lessons they need to learn from phase 4. So here's a few things I'm still pretty worried about. First one on here, there's certain mistakes I feel like they're repeating and they're not learning, in particular on the overuse of humor. There's some fantastic MCU films that are really funny from beginning to end and it fits. And then there's a bunch of them that are a little bit more serious and they have the same pace of humor. And there's just too many movies at this point in time where we're in the middle of this tense, dramatic scene and then it cuts to like a stupid joke. Not like an organic joke, not one that it's like, it's subtle, but it maybe cuts the tension a little bit, but without breaking the tension. No, I mean, it's like just something stupid. Like you're at the core of when you're trying to build the threat, the danger of the villain. And, you know, in Shang-Chi, dragons are flying all around. Everything's been unleashed. Destruction is coming. And then it like cuts to Trevor being fake dead on the ground or something like that. Like it cuts to one of the sillier characters in the entire franchise. And you're like, this was the moment. This is the moment where we needed you to keep the tension. This was the wrong moment for humor. And if you've seen Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, the third act, there's some bits with Kang, goes from Kang being very menacing to MODOK. Did it make me laugh? Absolutely. Was it the right moment for that joke, that energy of a joke? No, it cut the tension. At a time, like you have this very serious threat and then very lowbrow humor, and they keep doing that. And it's not realizing the importance of tone, consistency. I think they need to pull some of that back. Second one, as much as I love the scope and size of some of the story, I feel like there's so much storytelling going on that they're making some mistakes that I don't feel like they were making as many of earlier on. What I mean by that, first one that really stuck out to me, Spider-Man Far From Home. A lot of people love that movie. I find it fun. But the central concept is that during the battle in Endgame, Tony Stark rewrote his will so that he would leave glasses that could kill people to a high schooler who was just brought back from the dead. It doesn't make any sense. If you stop and think about the plot of Far From Home, Tony, prior to the Battle of Endgame, Peter Parker had been dead for 5 years. He'd been gone for 5 years. So he's not leaving him these glasses. It doesn't make any sense. And why would he leave a weapon to a child? Why would he do that? Especially Rhodey, Happy, Pepper, all these people, probably more responsible with a weapon than a high schooler. And it's like an oversight that's a really gigantic oversight of Peter was dead. And Quantumania has the same issue. This is in the trailers, this isn't spoilers for the movie, but a big issue is that Janet, who is stuck in the quantum realm for 30 years, is afraid of something in the quantum realm.
You're sending a signal down to the quantum realm.
And doesn't want them fiddling with it. And you see this in the trailer. This isn't spoiling. This is the very beginning of the movie. Doesn't want them messing with it. A major plot point for the movie Endgame. Briefly, the #1 highest grossing film of all time. The biggest movie of their entire franchise. A key point. Scott Lang was stuck in the quantum realm because Hank and Janet and Scott were doodling around with the quantum realm. And they missed that.
You wanted a smaller quantum tunnel. This is smaller.
Whoops.
It's a huge plot point that Janet was playing around with the quantum realm and Scott was in there. And then it's totally ignored for a huge, the whole thing, this whole movie does not take place if you took that seriously. And it feels like, I don't know if there's stories getting too big or what, but it feels like there's these gaps and they're making mistakes that I don't feel like they made before. And what made it so exciting before is that it felt like they really had thought through it. And you get to these moments and they paid off so well because they set it up 7 years earlier. And you watch this and it feels like, did you forget to watch Endgame before you wrote the script for this movie? Like, what is going on here? And that's frustrating. And then here's one that's maybe not as important, and maybe they can resolve this. Final one on here is I don't feel like we have the stars of the Marvel universe like we did before. Certainly, you don't have anyone that's the clear star like Iron Man was, that was just such a draw, that was so popular, that just could carry the team. We don't have that replacement yet. It's not clear who that's going to be. And I've made a video kind of talking about this, and someone said, well, maybe it's Doctor Strange. Like, well, I like Doctor Strange, but he's inherently as a character doesn't have that natural chemistry with everyone that Tony Stark and Robert Downey Jr. had. That he's just in a room and he's having fun bantering with everybody. You're watching Avengers and he's like cracking jokes about a person playing Space Invaders and stuff. There's like that energy of like camaraderie that he brought that Doctor Strange doesn't really have. Both of them are cocky, arrogant, smug, but in very different ways. And so we don't have that person yet. And maybe we're going to get, they'll emerge, but it's not abundantly clear at this moment who the star is. So we all end up having our favorites in a way that it kind of divides us up a little bit. Not in a divisive sense, but it's not as unified of like pulling it together. So that's the one for me. So that's where I look at the future of the MCU, and there's a bunch of things that it's like, that's awesome. That's cool. Man, I really hope that's going to pay off. But then I look at all other things where I feel like there have been more disappointments over the last year and a half than I feel like I had over the previous 10 years. And some of that's they also cranked out so much more content. So more at-bats means more opportunities so then you have more condensed window of time to have disappointments. Some of it's that. But it feels like there's that sphere in there of so many things. The Secret Wars, wow. Multiverse, wow. This is incredible what we're doing. This is like me playing with all my toys in the sandbox, except as movies on this gigantic scale. But I'm afraid a little bit of that magic that was there in phase 3 is fading a little bit. And to be fair, it was magical. There's been nothing comparable to what the MCU was for a while there, of like a franchise having that many movies that were hits at the box office with audience and with critics, and that pull that many franchises together, and people left Endgame and they went, well, that worked. That worked. That was something really special, and you can't ride that forever. And so if you actually do the thing that's like the peak of doing a shared universe, by far, no one's in the ballpark of what they did, you can kind of only go down. And you can still be good, but it's tough to stay that level of quality forever. And I don't certainly never want to be cynical. I have a career. You guys are in this room. You guys are watching right now because of Marvel movies. Like that's what grew my channel. That's where it came from. So I'll always be appreciative for that. It's not cynical towards them, but I do think a little bit of the magic is fading a little bit, unfortunately, but that's my take on it. Let me know what you guys thought down below in the comment section. And when I talk to you guys in the hallway, let me know what you thought about all of that as well. Thank you guys so much for watching, and keep talking movies and TV too much. I don't know which one of these cameras I'm going to be cutting to at the end. All right, that's video number 1. Woo! And